Taurus Sun and Rising, welcome to your March 2025 Astro Update. It's Serena here. I have a Taurus Rising, so I'm always invested in this particular sign when I'm doing these readings. So, by the way, if you are a Taurus Sun sign and you typically watch, listen to readings for your sun sign, definitely find out what your rising sign is because that's looking at it from a natal chart perspective, and that really can be good for predictive purposes for a day to day basis. So that can open up a whole new world for you. And these are general readings. So that's the one little bit of a challenge there because I'm trying to make it universal for everybody. But if you want a personal reading, click on the link below, and I have all kinds of readings, including transit readings and natal chart analysis. But yeah, so keep that in mind if your sun is in Taurus. Okay, well, this is like one heck of a month, let me tell you. And of course, we never know how it's going to turn out. I'm a Sagittarian, but I have a lot of Earth. So I'm kind of like one of those people, even when I'm doing astrological readings, I'm always a little bit leery about promoting things and like making, like kind of hyping them because I know that sometimes things don't turn out the way that we think they're going to. But I mean, this month I just can't imagine that it wouldn't. But so anyway, I'd like to just go in order, so I'm going to do it like that. On the first of the month, I mean, right off the bat, we have Venus retrograde. That's the ruler of Taurus. So that should make you sit up and take notice because that is very important for Taurus people as well as Libra individuals. Venus going retrograde at 10 degrees of Aries. For Taurus, this is the 12th house. And it's actually going to go back into the 11th house this month. So you're going to have, there's a lot going on in Pisces. So your 11th house of hopes and wishes, as well as gains, which can be good for finances, is featured, as well as the 12th house, which is the house of spirituality and past lives, but also it can deal with, the ways that trip you up. All of these things can be kind of converging in this month. So when Venus is retrograde in the 12th house, I feel like this is really a time to deeply think about your values and what you value. Actually, values sounds more like ethics, but what you value in life, what is important to you in life. And that also applies to your financial attitude. So as a Taurus, you rule the house of money. Well, you could say the eighth house is also other people's money, but the main house of money. And so you're an earth sign. You tend to be very connected. I mean, you're ruled by Venus, so you tend to be very connected to material resources and maybe very proficient with them. But the 12th house is the house of spirituality. So how do you reconcile these things? Well, I always say this to people who talk about their possessions and talk about things and who tend to be very materialistic. You can't take it with you. I know I didn't make that up, so I know that you could say that's kind of a cliche, but I always say you can't take a penny with you. And when you realize this, but somebody said to me the other day online, well, I'm going to enjoy it while I can. And I thought, well, how can I argue with that? I'm not saying that people should just be monks, and actually the 12th house is like the monk house. But it's really about how much sacrifice do you are you giving to these temporary things? Are you possessed by your possessions, Taurus? Because that can be a thing. So there's like this spiritual thing that is coinciding with something that is about your material resources or your what you value in life. Now, also, Venus can be love, and the 12th house, when Venus is in the 12th house, a person may be having some kind of secret love affair. Secret love. I'm going to sing that song. Secret love affair. So, um, yeah, something along those lines. So, what is going on with that? Are you somebody who is rethinking something that you're doing? Now, I'm not accusing you of cheating, but maybe you are. But even if you're not, you might be seeing somebody and maybe you're not cheating, but they're cheating. And maybe you don't even know why they want you to come over late at night. So there could be some kind of clandestine thing going on, and that is kind of like you're going, okay, what's up with this? And whenever Venus is retrograding, it doesn't even matter what house it's in for a person. It could mean that somebody from your past shows up. Well, this could be somebody from your past life. So I don't know. Good luck with that, uh, Taurus. Just remember, if you do have a past love that kind of calls you up or whatever, remember that even if you get, I was going to say hook up, but that has a different connotation. But even if you get together to kind of chat over old times, and even if you hit it off and you have a great time, remember that you broke up for a reason. So don't get carried away and think that you should get back together, that this means that you are meant to be, because it might not be the case. On the 3rd, Mercury goes into Aries. So, yeah, I mean, all this stuff happening in the 12th. And the 12th house is very psychic, and it's very, some of this can be kind of feeling anxious because there can be like these fears, and you may not, and with Mercury, it can be like this worry, and you don't know where it's coming from, and it's kind of like, this is the area of the subconscious and the unconscious mind. So it's really good to meditate, I think, with this, to work with this energy through meditation, because it can transcend some of those astral influences that, kind of seek to just derail you from whatever it is that you're doing. And you don't need that right now, because there's so much to look forward to. Um, this can make you more psychic right now with Mercury in the 12th, and, creative, by extension, creativity. On the 14th, we have a lunar eclipse at almost 24 degrees of Virgo. And so this for Taurus is a 5th house. And that is such an awesome house, the 5th house is the house of love and creativity. Leo rules this house in astrology. Leo is ruled by the sun. So if you know anything about the tarot and you know about the sun card is like every positive thing, under the sun. But, and it's not like a complete correspondence with the sun in astrology, but just everything like joy. And this is actually the house of the inner child, children in general, conceiving children or working with children. Creativity is connected to the child. Think about every child that when they're old enough to hold a crayon. They're all about creativity, or they're make believe. That's so much a part of us. And why do we stop being that way? Is it because creativity is something frivolous and we just need to go to more serious things? Luckily, there are some people that never stop valuing creativity, and that's who we call our artists. So this lunar eclipse can be a time like a breakthrough for people who have been struggling with a creative block. You know, it's like you can release all of that. And actually, what's interesting about having Virgo here for Taurus people is that you might be very self critical about your creations and you need to let that shit go. You know what I mean? So that's happening. And with love, this could be like for some Taurus people, if you had your heart broken and you're a Taurus, you know, Taurus is a fixed sign. So that could lend itself to somebody who is very rigid in their ideas of, or even in their feelings. Of course, you have to look at your Venus sign and your moon sign to get a better feel for that. But it could just be something where you vow, I'm not going to date anymore. This is ridiculous. I've just had three short term, you know, three dates from hell from different people, and like people are crazy out here. And this can let go of your resistance. Maybe you meet somebody that has that capacity to do that for you. So it's just like a writer's block can get dissolved, a love block can get dissolved. A you know, if your heart has been hardened by whatever reason, and if you've been pining away for someone, let's say that some of you have Chiron transiting this house because, or wait a minute, what am I thinking here? I'm looking, you know, it's funny. I was actually looking at Elon Musk's chart because um, I just did his reading, and I'm not supposed to be looking at a chart at all when I'm doing this, but I was saying because, since, yeah, no, Chiron is transiting through Aries, so that wouldn't be true for you. But again, maybe if you're listening for your solar information, and your natal information is like totally different, maybe that could both be true. But yeah, so the bottom line is that some people have a love that was unrequited, or just some kind of like maybe somebody who broke up with you in the past and it really hurt and you just haven't really truly been able to move on, or even being like a widow or widower. That can be a situation where you might feel like, or nasty divorce, where you feel like, I'm never going to date again. I'm never going to, you know, risk getting my heart trampled on. So those kind of things. So that's very cool. And I will say, I will definitely say, if you are a woman and you are of, and you are able to, you know, give birth, be careful because this could be like a very fertile time for you, I would imagine. So, since this is the house of conceiving children, you know, this could be like big time. And I don't know how the male version of this, if your sperm is like extra potent or something. Oh my gosh, I'm really in a strange mood right now. But anyway, on the 15th, which is the very next day, Mercury goes retrograde. So you can see like all these things. We got Venus retrograde. Now we have Mercury retrograde. And it's also going to be in Aries. And it's going to be at 9 Aries. We had the Venus retrograde at 10 Aries. There's going to be a solar eclipse in Aries at 9 Aries. It's like, whoa, this is really something else. And this is in your 12th house. So I really think this is a great time when Mercury goes retrograde in your 12th, um, Taurus, to do a lot of soul searching, because the 12th house is your soul. It's like reflection. And really, the sun will be going in here as well at the astrological new year. And you're going to be feeling those hermit vibes where you're really going to maybe want to be alone more, maybe want to rest more, but you may want more quiet times. And this is a time for great reflection. Before you have your solar return and you're kind of out there because that's starting a new cycle with planets in your first house. Okay, so this is the last house, the 12th house, with where Aries happens to be. And so just reflecting on um, maybe 12th house matters, like addictions and other kinds of ways that you may self destruct, and how does that hurt you in life and stuff like that. On the 20th, we have that astrological new year. For you, it's going to be in the 12th house. Um, Usually, this is a time when we really feel like we're rebooting, we're starting a new cycle, but we do have two personal planets that are retrograding. So we always have to keep that in mind, that it might not be as forward moving as we would like. We also have Mars still in the shadow period. So it's not to say, oh, you can't do anything new, because I never am like that. Even if there are planets that are retrograding that are supposed to be like, don't do this, don't do that. Um, I have said multiple times that there are a couple of spiritual teachers that I'm aware of, and even teaching like abundance things, who both said that they launched during Mercury retrograde. What's up with that, you know? And they, not that they're astrologers, but I think they would know about these kinds of things. And I feel like there's some kind of hidden knowledge there that the rest of the public isn't being really taught. So it almost makes me wonder if that's the best time to launch. And they have insider trading information. But anyway, I currently am, kind of in that mode of like waiting until things are more forward moving with personal planets to really sort things out. So just feel into yourself and see how you feel about anything like that. On the 27th, we have Venus retroing back into Pisces. So this is actually very good. Now, Venus retrograde, like Jupiter retrograde, doesn't mean that all the blessings kind of come to a grinding halt. And in the 11th house, since this is the house of gains, this could certainly be a situation where you can experience some sort of increase, financial increase for your business, for your career matters. And maybe it's coming from a source that you, like an income stream that you used to use, that you're kind of going back on, or you're promoting something that you kind of like shied away from, and maybe now it will really be lucrative. Because sometimes things have their own timing, and they're not necessarily like you release it. I've seen so many times, like with record albums or what have you, they re-release it and it does so much better, stuff like that. 2 days later, on the 29th, Mercury retros back into Pisces. So I really feel like there's something going on here with 11th house matters, that you are kind of brainstorming, trying to think like, how can I increase my profits, and doing so in a way that is familiar, and yet maybe there's a new spin on things, because you might be reviewing it, and then as Mercury and Venus go direct, you may be seeing the results of these things. It's kind of like an experimentation. Also, the 11th house is the house of hopes and wishes. So these are your long term goals, and these may be kind of um, being kind of shaped, or what do you call it, like shifted around, because you may have new ideas that you want to implement, and that naturally is going to affect the kind of things that you thought you wanted before. I think also, the 11th house is a collective, and especially nowadays, with the kind of world we live in that is so much online based, there is this need to kind of promote ourselves and kind of get hooked into this like networking, that kind of thing. And I know for myself, it's kind of hard when you're doing things that are in the spiritual realm because you don't want to be like uh, tacky, like you're just trying to be a worldly successful person, but you're trying to like always trying to have a wider net, trying to increase your following, and that not just because you're not for an ego thing, but just because that's really important for expansion. It can go the opposite direction if you're not careful. So these kinds of things, and I do think that the 11th house is, I can't find proof of this myself, but I do think I did read it somewhere that it's the internet. Now I'm reading that the third house is the internet because it's a form of media that we call it social media, but the 11th house is technology and it's also the collective. So I really believe that that is part of it. And so, thinking about your online presence, if that is relevant for you, is or rethinking it, maybe going on here too. On the very same day as Mercury goes back into your 11th house, you have a solar eclipse in the 12th house. Oh, you know what this could be too? This could kind of be uh, maybe even taking a break from social media in a way when Mercury is retrograde there. When Mercury is retrograde altogether, it's going to be a period of about 3.5 weeks. So it's always a great time for what's called a social media detox, where, maybe you just go offline altogether. Now, someone like me, I can't just totally do that unless I just say I'm not going to take any clients and stuff. I guess that's possible. But even somebody who has an online business, you can still really scale down what you're doing online and set some boundaries. And this, in particular, could be the time that while it's in Pisces, um, that it's in your 11th house that you do so. And that solar eclipse in the 12th is like that's the area of solitude. So you could be really boosting your spiritual um, activities and things like that. Maybe you have these opportunities to do that. The 12th house is like the ninth house because Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. So that could be even something to do with long distance travel, and maybe it has a spiritual connection to it. And then the very next day, on the 30th, Neptune goes into Aries. So Neptune is going into the house of Pisces. That, Pisces rules in astrology, into its own domain. And I just want to give you, because I was talking earlier about, the individual chart, and I told you at the beginning of this reading that my rising sign is Taurus. It's a later degree of Taurus. And my 12th house probably begins around 9 degrees of Aries. So I'm going to have Neptune in my 11th house still for years to come. So this is why it is so important to see your natal chart, to really get a good feel for when these things are happening. But yeah, I'm reading it like it's in your 12th house, and this is so mystical. This is so spiritual. You may have spiritual experiences. You may feel like you might be very softened. Not that Taurus is a hard sign or anything, but you may feel softened by really tuning into the suffering of mankind, and definitely influence all of your choices that you make. So it's it's just dipping into Neptune. It's going to go back into Pisces, and it's not going to be there permanently in 2025 for sure. So just get that little taste of the divine that comes in. All right, that's what I have for you, Taurus. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.